Microphones or taping of this meeting. A call-in line has been established for the community to hear the meeting interpreted live in Spanish. The number to call is 508-924-5155. Board Member Madeline Lasalle Frazier, please announce in Spanish.
Buenas noches. Se ha establecido una línea telefónica para que la comunidad pueda llamar y tenga acceso a interpretación en español en vivo. El número a llamar es el 508-924-5155. Repito, el número a llamar es el 508-924-5155.
Thank you. For those who are not able to observe now, the meeting is being recorded and can be accessed on the PGCPS YouTube channel for later viewing. Lastly, for recording purposes, I would like to remind all board members to turn on their microphones when speaking. The board prayer. Board Member Juanita Miller, will you please lead us in the board prayer?
Good evening, everyone. Oh God, we pray to administer that which is just in all educational policies, being ever mindful of your guidance. Steer us to action with love, wisdom, and understanding. Amen. Now, would you stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. The October 12, 2023 work session and the October 19th and 24, 2023 boundary hearings will be the minutes. The agenda. Adoption of the agenda.
Madam Chair.
Oh, roll call, Ms. Ellis.
Mrs. Adam Stafford.
Here.
Ms. Boozer Strother.
Present.
Mr. Briggs.
Present.
Mr. Fields. Dr. Harris.
Present.
Mr. Jackson.
Here.
Mrs. Lasalle Frazier.
Present.
Dr. Juanita Miller.
Present.
Dr. Zipporah Miller. Mr. Murray. Mrs. Rout.
Present.
Ms. Walker.
Present.
Ms. Rivera Forbes. Mrs. Mickens Murray.
Present, thank you. Adoption of the agenda. The October 12, 2023 work session and the October 19th and 2023 boundary public hearings will be postponed until the November 9th, 2023 board meeting. Item 2.8, the unsung hero partner has been removed. The question is on adopting the October 26, 2023 Board of Education meeting agenda as amended. Okay, it has been moved and seconded to accept the agenda as amended. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, Ms. Ellis, please take a roll call.
Mrs. Adam Stafford.
Here.
Ms. Boozer Strother.
Aye.
Mr. Briggs.
Here.
We're voting on the agenda.
We're voting to accept the agenda.
I'm sorry.
Aye.
Oh, thank you.
Dr. Harris.
Aye.
Mr. Jackson.
Aye.
Mrs. Lasalle Frazier.
Aye.
Dr. J. Miller.
Aye.
Mr. Murray. Mrs. Rout.
Aye.
Ms. Walker.
Aye.
Ms. Rivera Forbes. Mrs. Mickens Murray.
Aye.
Dr. Zipporah Miller.
There are 12 votes in the affirmative. There are no votes in the negative. The October 26, 2023 Board of Education meeting agenda is adopted. Approval of the meeting minutes.
Madam Chair, it's 11.
Okay, that's right, he was not here. Okay, thank you, I stand corrected. There is 11 votes in the affirmative, and there are no votes in the negative. Okay. Approval of the meeting minutes. Are there any corrections to the September 21st, 2023 board meeting and the September 28, 2023 virtual special board meeting minutes? Okay, is there a motion to accept the minutes?
I move to accept the minutes.
Is there a second? Okay, it's been moved and seconded to accept the September 21st and 2023 board meeting and the September 28, 2023 virtual special meeting minutes. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, Ms. Ellis, please take the roll.
Mrs. Adams Stafford,
Aye.
Ms. Boozer Strother,
Aye.
Mr. Briggs,
Aye.
Dr. Harris,
Aye.
Mr. Jackson,
Aye.
Mrs. LaSalle Frazier,
Aye.
Dr. J. Miller,
Aye.
Dr. Z. Miller, Mrs. Rout, Ms. Walker, Mrs. Mickens-Murray.
Aye. There are 11 in the affirmative. There is 0 in the negative. The motion to approve the September 21st, 2023 board meeting and the September 28, 2023 board meeting minutes are accepted. At this time, we will have the news break. The chair recognizes the communication team for the news break titled "Cutting the Ribbon on 5 New Gifts."
Ribbons were being snipped all across Prince George's County recently as 5 brand new blueprint schools, all built through a unique public-private partnership, were officially dedicated. Lauded by school system and county officials, many of whom took a chance to fast-track replacing long outdated facilities in just 2 years, the new Cathedrals of Learning offer more than just dazzling architecture and plenty of space. There are also spectacular learning amenities rivaling those of a college campus.
First of all, it's a fully wireless campus. And so you have a turf fields, we have STEAM labs, we have 3D printers, etchers, we have interactive boards in every classroom. We have really cafe-style seating and breakout spaces throughout the school that we believe provides our students with a vision of where they can go.
Are you sorry you're not back in school and attending a place like this?
Oh, I am. This is better than my college, I can say.
Our students come to the collaboration spaces to interact with one another in terms of what's going on in the classroom. It gives them the opportunity to learn from one another outside of the confines of the classroom. This day means everything to me. It means everything to us. We made a lot of sacrifices to get here. We're just happy to be home and to be able to call this place home again. So it means everything to all of us.
Listening to the young musicians who performed at Highsville's dedication talk about their new 4-story school, their excitement, well, it was off the charts, even if they're still figuring out where everything is.
Are you still getting lost, or you know where you're going?
It's definitely so big that I don't not get lost. It's so big.
It's like a lot bigger than our campus last year, so it's like a new experience for us.
What's your favorite part of the school so far?
Definitely the cafeteria.
Why so?
It's just so modern and it's so nice and it's so much like different than the other cafeterias that we've been in.
And while it was important to say thanks to the many who turned the blueprints for the blueprint schools into reality, so too was acknowledging the 5 schools' profound aspirational impact on families and especially students.
I think a lot about the kids in this school that are first-generation Americans as well, and that are new Americans who are going to be learning for the first time and also learning in a brand new environment. And I want to tell them that we are here for them, that we're here for them to grow, and this is more than a school. This is their home away from home.
Being here is amazing. It represents the work of a lot of people. Everybody that has made a contribution someone had a dream to make this true today. This place is the beacon of hope. It's not only a beautiful building, but it's an inspiration for all our scholars to have a better life and a better future.
Best wishes to Hyattsville, Walker Mill, Kenmore, Sonia Sotomayor, and Drew Freeman as they begin making a history all their own in their brand new homes. This is Dave Zarin reporting.
Thanks so much to our communications team. Report of the chair. The chair reports earlier this month, board members attended this year's Maryland Association for Boards of Education's annual conference in Annapolis. The keynote address, entitled Strategies to Address Critical Problems of Practice in Maryland Schools, was heard from the Maryland State Superintendent of Schools office. October is Breast Cancer and Domestic Violence Awareness Month. This month is also National Bullying Prevention Month. Let's continue to be safe in our schools and treat one another with kindness and respect. At this time, we will have a moment of silence. The chair calls for a moment of silence as we honor the memory of the following PGCPS staff, family, and community members. Margway Swan, student, Kenmore Middle School. Serenity Selman, student, Charles H. Flowers High School. Zeshan Cuffey, student, High Road Academy. Christopher Bato, bus driver, Greenbelt Bus Lot. Ashley Hyde, Paint Shop, Building Services. Anna Avalro, teacher, Crossland High School. Thank you. At this time, Ms. LaSalle Frazier will have a point of personal privilege to recognize 4 amazing scholars for their leadership and service to the community. Board Member LaSalle Frazier.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Oh, excuse me, I need to say this. We'll also bid farewell to a staff member of the board office. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Bienvenidos todos a este momento tan bonito que vamos a tener aquí en la Junta Escolar de Prince George's County. Estoy muy orgullosa en estos momentos de darle la bienvenida a todos los que están aquí para reconocer a estos estudiantes. I am very happy to be here today and to recognize, delighted, because we have 4 District 8 student leaders who attend Crossland, Friendly, Potomac, Oxon Hill High Schools that were selected by their principals for their character, leadership, and outstanding success in school and life. As the District 8 board member, I am PGCPS proud to showcase these amazing Latino student leaders. They embody District 8's great spirit and excellence, diversity, kindness, and leadership. And as we closed out Hispanic Heritage Month on October 15, I only thought that it would be prudent and wonderful to showcase the beauty that is our Latino student population. The first student that I want to recognize, her name is Helsi Nicole Carranza Garcia. She's a senior at Crossland High School, and her principal shared that Helsi is a fantastic representative of Crossland and CTE. She is a leader in the Teacher Academy of Maryland, making her truly Crossland qualified. When she graduates in 2024, she will have the credentials for paraprofessional employment and her high school diploma as she goes on and majors in education in college. She's also a girls soccer and softball player and represented Crossland in Florida this summer in the Teacher Academy of Maryland Conference. Helsi is from Honduras. She's a only child who always smiles and is trying to see the right side of everything. She is currently doing an internship at her school as a teacher aide. Her passion for helping others is so big that in the near future, she will be back in our schools to be a teacher. I'm very proud. Helsi, felicidades. I would love for Helsi to come. As I'm speaking about the students, can Helsi and the other students start coming to the front? Let me recognize the other students as then we have a moment to take a picture. Our second student is Manuel Pinto Lopez. He attends at Oxon Hill High School, and he's also a senior. His principals share that Manuel is a great help to the Hispanic community. He is always helping our new students with translation and making sure they learn their schedules. He also has been doing the morning and afternoon announcements in Spanish. He has been keeping up with the schoolwork and has great behavior. And Manuel demonstrates our Clipper core values and is a role model for other students to follow. Manuel, are you here? Please come to the front. Our third student leader is recognized as Kenia Torres, a senior at Friendly High School, who is a distinguished leader within our JROTC program. She serves as a top-ranking officer in her flight. Kenia serves as a class president during her junior year for the class of 2024. She now serves in the Friendly Seniors Committee, where her leadership abilities and unparalleled wisdom are prominently displayed. Kenia, are you here? Please come to the front. And our fourth student is Stephanie Rivera Serrano. She is described as a visionary who spearheaded the launch of the Future Business Leaders of America at Potomac High School, the Potomac. As a 3DE founder, Stephanie is a remarkable individual with an impressive track record, having been featured as a 3DE promotional video and attending the Business Hall of Fame in 2022. Her leadership skills extend beyond the classroom as she serves as the vice president of her school's SGA, while also contributing to the SGA, FBLA, and the 3DE National Company. Stephanie, please come to the front. I want to congratulate each and every one of you and your families. Your parents must be so proud. I have no doubt that you're going to succeed in everything you do, and I'm proud to have you as part of our District A Great Scholars, and I look forward to seeing what you accomplish in the future. I know our community is better because of you. Padres, felicidades, deben de estar muy orgullosos de sus niños. Qué orgullo tenerlos en Distrito 8. Gracias. I have one more thing to share as a moment of personal privilege, and it's a bittersweet moment for me to have to recognize one of our great staff members who is doing great things and is going to move on from our staff to become a social worker. She is going to go on to be a professional social worker. Jessica, are you here? Is she here? Yeah, come on, guys. Oh, look at how big she is. Oh.
Did she expect this? No. Thank you so much. Oh, I appreciate you guys.
Jessica is such a warm and wonderful individual, and we are just so proud of her, and we know that she's going to come back and be a mental health professional for our children and do a wonderful job. So thank you, Jessica. Come back, Jessica.
I'll go ahead and add, I'm Pamela Boozer-Struther from District 3 and have had the privilege of working with Jessica since she started in the board office. And some folks may not know she was a community schools coordinator in one of our schools and helped us to implement the blueprint for Maryland's future. So thank you for your service before you even came to the board office, and thank you for your outstanding work.
Thank you so much. Oh my goodness. Well, I just want to say thank you all. Thank you for such a wonderful gesture. I really appreciate it in the short time that I've been here. I've enjoyed working with each and every one of you. As a collective, you guys are an amazing group of people, talented, so much to bring forth, and I know that you'll do best by our students and our families. And I'm just excited to continue on to my next chapter, and I will be back to serve the community, because that's where my passion lies, and especially my Latino community, because I have the lived experience of being a daughter of an immigrant family, and so I want to pay it forward to others and make sure that they also have the resources that they need to be as successful as they can be. So thank you so much.
All right, you're out. Okay. Okay, that's fine. Pamela, you're my backup. Okay. Okay. Thank you once again. Congratulations to all of our tonight's honorees. The next meetings of the board are as follows. The Parent and Community Advisory Council, November 1. The next board meeting, November 9th at 7 p.m. The first one is at 7 p.m. as well. The board retreat, November 10th and 11th. The Academy Achievement Committee, November 13th at 5:30 p.m. The Policy and Governance Committee, November 14th at 5 p.m. And the Operations, Budget, and Fiscal Affairs Committee meeting, November 15th at 5 p.m. Please check the board website for further updates and information about the upcoming meetings. The chair recognizes the Superintendent House for his report.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the board. Of course, last night I was able to wrap up the series of Listen, Learn, and Lead town halls where I was able to really gain valuable information and insight from the community. It provided me with an opportunity to hear directly from our families and stakeholders to really better understand the needs and hopes of Prince George's County Public Schools. The live stream of the town hall averaged about 5,000 views, with an average of about 50 people in attendance in person at each one of the town halls. Now, the primary concern we heard was around special education, safety and security, as well as transportation. By having cabinet members in attendance, we were able to immediately take a close look at specific issues raised by community members. I want to thank everyone who came out to bring their comments, their concerns, especially those that came from students. We will be taking the feedback that we received and incorporated it into the after report of the 90-day plan. Now, as a part of the 90-day plan, I committed to meaningful engagement with our families and communities. The town halls were the first step in doing so. I've also visited more than 30 schools over the course of since school has started, and this is the first opportunity for me to work firsthand with classroom educators and teachers to really get a good idea of exactly how they're feeling in the classrooms and schools as well. Just 170 campuses to go. In my role as superintendent of PGCPS, it is my responsibility to also advocate on behalf of our students, staff, and community. Last month, I had the opportunity to provide remarks at a briefing on Capitol Hill about how K-12 systems are using their federal COVID relief aid. And last week, I was invited to speak on the White House, to White House fellows in reference to educational issues across the United States as well. There, I touted the innovative practices that PGCPS incorporated during COVID, such as many of the gaps that were created in COVID and the different things that we were doing to address those gaps along the way. Now, regarding safety and security enhancements on our campuses, we're beginning Phase 2. As you all know, Phase 1 started the school year out, and Phase 2 is in motion, and we're rolling out equipment beginning in early November. We're also continuing the audit of our transportation and the issues that we've seen. Formative, of course, is the company that we're working closely with. And the audit is expected to wrap up in January, and we'll be providing recommendations to improve our operational transportation services. We will, of course, update the board on how and what this implementation process will look like, as well as the recommendations that come along. Madam Chair, that does conclude my report.
Thank you. At this time, we will have introduction of committee members and committee charges. The chair recognizes Board Member Briggs, the Policy and Governance Committee Vice Chair, to introduce the committee's charge and members.
Thank you so much, Chair Mickens-Murray. The Policy and Governance Committee is charged with facilitating short and long-range strategic planning for the school system, providing oversight of board policy, legislative and government matters involving federal, state, county, and municipal government agencies and officials. The committee shall ensure that board governing policies are current and compliant with federal, state, and county laws and consistent with best practices in public education. The Policy and Governance Committee members and administration representatives are as follows: Mr. Walter Fields, Committee Chair; Mr. Jonathan Briggs, Committee Vice Chair; Ms. Alita E. Walker; Dr. Juanita Miller; Ms. Rain Rivera-Forbes; Mrs. Judy Mickens-Murray, ex officio; Ms. Robin Welsh, Director, PGCPS Office of Government Relations, Compliance, and Procedures; and then finally, Cindy Adlian, Board Office Administrative Secretary, and Committee Support Staff. Beginning August 2023 and ending June 2024, the committee plans to review and discuss 40 policies to further advance the PGCPS goal of providing an excellent education to our students and empowering our communities. These policies were selected on the recommendations received from the superintendent that required review due to legal ramifications, citation, corrections, rescissions, cycle updates, and to be in alignment with existing administrative procedures and/or enacted. An important tool in tracking and monitoring the policies review process is the Policy and Governance Policy Tracker, which is located on the board webpage. Thank you for your continued support.
Thank you, Board Member Briggs. Now we will have the introduction of the Policy and Governance Committee recommendations. The chair recognizes Board Member Briggs.
Thanks again, Chair Mickens-Murray. So the Policy and Governance Committee, known as the committee, met virtually on October 17, 2023, with the following members in attendance: Walter Fields, Chair; Jonathan Briggs, Vice Chair; Lolita E. Walker; Dr. Juanita Miller; Rain Rivera-Forbes; Judy Mickens-Murray. The committee discussed the revisions to the following policy: professional development for board members. And the purpose of the policy is for board members to provide guidelines for the types of professional development board members are required to complete, and a schedule for the completion of the professional development. So on behalf of the Policy and Governance Committee, I move that the policy be recommended for advanced consideration to seek public comment.
Is there a second?
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that the Policy and Governance Committee's recommendation be moved forward to seek public comments. All those in, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, let it be known. Ms. Ellis, please call the roll.
Mrs. Adam Stafford,
Aye.
Ms. Boozer Strother,
Aye.
Mr. Briggs,
Aye.
Dr. Harris,
Aye.
Mr. Jackson, Mrs. LaSalle Frazier,
Aye.
Dr. J. Miller,
Aye.
Dr. Z. Miller,
Aye.
Mrs. Rout,
Aye.
Ms. Walker, Ms. Rivera-Forbes, Mrs. Mickens-Murray.
Aye. There are 10 affirmative in the affirmative, and there are no votes in the negative. The motion to approve the Policy and Governance Committee's recommendation is adopted. Now we will have, the chair recognizes Board Member Adam Stafford, the Operations Budget and Fiscal Affairs Chair, to report on the committee's budget priorities.
Thank you, Chair Mickens-Murray. Hi, colleagues. This evening, I'd like to share with you the collective board member priorities as we have spent the last few months hearing from community members through a countywide survey that was responded to by over 500 members of our respective communities. I'd like to first begin by thanking our committee, Vice Chair Dr. Kenneth Harris, Board Chair Judy Mickens-Murray, Member Jocelyn Rout, and also student member of the board Rain Rivera-Forbes, and our office staff, Ms. Jessica Guerrero. We will miss her very much, for helping us to implement this survey and to aggregate the results. So, we are sending this list of priorities to Mr. House and his team. We are looking forward to collaborating with you on these priorities and really looking forward to continued growth in these areas. So the categories are academic achievement, and I'll just read a few of the items that came to the top in each of the categories. So funding for the blueprint, providing additional paraprofessionals, support for tutoring programs, and additional funding for after-school and academic support activities, also updated high-quality instructional materials. Hiring was another major category, hiring qualified teachers to reduce classroom sizes, recruitment strategy, funding for varied recruitment strategies, filling teacher vacancies, and teacher development. We also had a lot of concern around transportation, using alternative and innovative options for transportation, using the relying on the Climate Change Action Plan as a guide to support electric bus fleet replacement and composting expansion. Additionally, there were requests around the CIP, specifically around maintenance, for example, having water fountains at schools, providing support for students in temporary classrooms and maintenance at older schools, support service, support for mental health and wellness support, expanding our special education staffing budget, and additionally school safety, supporting safety equipment, security cameras, providing counselors for social emotional learning, and safe passages for students that walk to school. So we are transmitting this to Mr. House, and we will be providing further updates in the future about the upcoming board member amendment process. Thank you so much.
Board Member Adam Stafford, would you please make the motion?
Sure, yeah. I move for the board to accept the Board of Education budget priorities for this fiscal year.
Second.
Thank you.
It has been moved and properly seconded. Any
It doesn't.
Excuse, I thought it was seconded.
It's a recommendation. It doesn't need a
Okay,
second.
that's fine.
Thanks.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, Ms. Ellis,
I think
please.
someone had a hand up.
I don't see a light. Oh, now I see a light.
I-
Boozer Struthers.
Thank you. I just want to thank our colleagues on the above committee for the thorough work on the recommendations. It's a great list, and I'm pleased to see how we all came together, really listening to the community through the survey. Thank you, Chair. And I look forward to our budget discussions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Seeing no more lights for discussion, Ms. Ellis, would you please call the roll?
Mrs. Adams Stafford,
Aye.
Ms. Boozer Strother,
Aye.
Mr. Briggs,
Aye.
Dr. Harris,
Aye.
Mr. Jackson,
Aye.
Mrs. LaSalle Frazier,
Aye.
Dr. J. Miller,
Aye.
Dr. Z. Miller,
Aye.
Mrs. Rout,
Aye.
Mrs. Mickens Murray.
Aye. We have 11 votes in the affirmative, and there are no votes in the negative. The motion to approve the operations budget and fiscal affairs budget priorities is adopted. The chair recognizes the speakers for the public comments on agenda. To the registered speakers, you have been registered to speak in public comment forum where the Board of Education will listen to your comments. The board will not address your comments. All registered speakers will have 3 minutes to make their presentations. Registered speakers may not relinquish any part of their speaking time to another registered or unregistered individual. Speakers may not address individuals or issues with profanity or derogatory terms. You will be warned once. If you continue, your comments will be muted and you may be removed from the meeting. Speakers are encouraged to use titles rather than names. For example, chair, board member, superintendent, principal, etc. Your adherence to these guidelines will enable the public participation to proceed and move smoothly. There are 9 public commenters tonight. Our first speaker is Essence Herndon, Individual Transportation Contractors.
$450,000. That is what EverDriven Technology LLC was awarded to provide contract drivers and attendants for transportation. This is what I found out just last week, along with my leadership team. This contract was signed off on September 8th, 2023. To our surprise and disappointment, because we have been asking for there to be some resolution on the district's behalf with hiring drivers and attendants. Let's do some math, shall we? $75, one-way trip, 12 miles free. Every additional mile, $2.50. Well, we have runs for special needs that goes from Fort Washington, Maryland to Baltimore, Maryland. $50 for an attendant being paid a minimum of 2 hours, $25 an hour. They can only have 5 children in the vehicle. Each child would need a strap, a vest, or a car seat. That's $5 per child. On top of that, excuse me, there's a wait time being billed at $60 an hour in 15-minute increments. All of that I have added up. $260 for one trip, one way. This money that is being given out to contractors should be given to the staff, the drivers and attendants that are invested, that have been here for years, to retain them. And it should be used to incentivize folks to come and want to work. Having contractors while we're in the middle of a contract violates the very negotiated agreement that the district signed with our local. Come talk to us, not about us. No outside auditor can give you what we can give you internally, as we are here in the trenches. Consolidate runs and stops. That would help with the routing system. Overhaul the routing system as a whole. Have folks that know what they're doing and where they're going help you with this process. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Dolores Millhouse, Individual Accountability.
Good evening. I'm here today as a passionate parent, advocate, and member of our community to express my deep concerns regarding the lack of accountability and oversight of the Prince George's County Board of Education. Over the past several months, I have utilized countless hours advocating for the board to comply with Board Policy 1500, which was enacted, and let me be clear, with Board Chair, which was enacted October 27, 2002. As a governing mechanism for the Parent and Community Advisory Council. The board fulfilled a key role of their responsibility, which is to set school policies. So today the question is, who holds the board responsible for adhering to policies that they develop? The answer is we do. We do, as the individuals who have elected you here, who have elected the individuals who also appointed you here. Therefore, since many of you are willingly operating by your own rules and fail to comply with the policies that govern the board, I'm asking that you resign so we can elect the people who actually care about how our children are educated, support the workforce, and see the opportunities in collaborating with parents as partners in education. You will no longer use this platform to make false claims that you are doing this for the children or any stakeholder, because your actions clearly represent your desire to use this as stepping stones out for your own personal gains. As outlined in the Board of Education Handbook, the Code of Ethics was updated based on the recommendation of the National School Board Association. A few of you have to say, as a member of the Prince George's County Board of Education, I'm committed to improving public education, and to that end, I will remember always that my first and greatest concern must be the educational welfare of the students attending public schools. Then do that. Render all decisions based on the pertinent facts, board policies, administrative procedures, and my independent judgment, and refuse to surrender that judgment to individuals of special interest groups. Then do that. So again, my request is that you do what you have sworn to do or leave. I have erroneously stated in a few meetings that I would leave based on the shenanigans of this board. That is a lie. I'm not going anywhere. My children will be educated here, and you will do your part that you have elected yourselves to, well, we elected you to do, and you were appointed to do. My children deserve better. The constituents in this community deserve better. The time is up. And it's over, it is done. So I'm asking you that as I'm fighting for my children every day, that I strongly encourage you to understand that the Code of Maryland regulations urges the state board to remove you if you do not act in a way if you act in a way that's immorally, if you have misconduct in the office, if you show incompetency or willfully neglect your duty. Thank you for your time, and I'll be back if need be.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Tanya Wingfield, Citizens for Accountability and Governance, Board Policies.
Thank you, Ms. Millhouse. $1.7 million of our tax dollars are used to fund this board. And the foolishness that we continue to see makes no sense. We have sent this board credible information of things that should be corrected. And to date, nothing's been done. So let me share with the public what's going on. This board chair has taken our tax dollars and paid legal fees for board members without board approval. $36,111.92 for the District 4 board member for fees for dates that her attorney has charged 2 years after a case was denied by a judge and a year after it was closed in the court. One charge of an invoice had investigation for an ethic panel, and we didn't even have the ethic panel in place at that time. $500 for the District 7 board member who's with no board approval for legal fees. But the problem with this board member fees were valid, but because of the chair acting unilaterally, tainted that payment by not bringing it before the board and a public discussion. $6,240 for the chair herself. The public has heard nothing about it. There's a document that we got through a PIA request that this board in a closed session approved $2,500. The public had a right to know. But she spent $6,240 with no board approval. We got the emails to prove it. We want to know why there's not a public discussion. Then we got our board council chair, council. Why is he still sitting here? We gave you credible information of him violating the Maryland Attorney Rule of Professional Conduct, Rule 19301.7. He is acting as the attorney of single board members in a case that he has been told, well, I don't know if he's been told, but I know these board members who are subject to this were told they're the respondents in this case. He's responding for them with our tax dollars. Why is he still sitting here? This board was told by the state, you have the ability to self-govern. But since you have chose not to, we have started putting things in action. Things have been filed, you will get notices, and you will know we're not playing with our tax dollars. Good night.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Martin Diggs, President, AFSCME Local 2250 Outsourcing.
Thank you. President Diggs of the Educational Support Personnel of Prince George's County. I've had the privilege of speaking to many of you board members, and you all talk about that you want to do right for our children in Prince George's County. I'm bringing forth some information to you that you need to act on about these external contractors. Looking back in 2020, we faced a shortage of drivers of about 100. Now in 2023, we're facing almost 250 drivers that are being shorted. We have been giving Prince George's County recommendations, and they had not been utilized. This situation about hiring these contractors is going to worsen our situations. Why are you not listening to the individuals who are actually doing the job and have the recommendations that will help make it better? We have an existing contract for you all to collaborate with 2250 and give recommendations, and they're falling on deaf ears. This commitment of that committee has not been fulfilled. The superintendent has stated that there would be no immediate implementation for the next 90 days. However, the audit is not completed until January. Why are the things put in place as of right now in the amount of $450,000? Furthermore, let's address the pressing safety concerns at hand, such as bus drivers and attendants being assaulted, parents being assaulted in schools, teachers being assaulted in schools. Why are we allowing someone from another state to make decisions for our children in Prince George's County? This destabilizes Prince George's County. It takes funds away from Prince George's County. It's not something that's going to look good for the Prince George's County residents. We have recommendations for the past years, and they have had no impact because you have not taken those recommendations. It seems like the situation is going to continue to deteriorate. When will our suggestions be taken seriously? When this situation reaches its breaking point, I am prepared to use all of my available resources to inform every concerned parent in these districts about how this board has not moved on these critical issues. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker, Ms. Shannon Reed, Individual, Community, and Power.
Good evening. The last time I was here, I detailed how I changed my approach to teaching and learning based on what I heard and saw in the classroom. I saw students' needs, so I stopped to do something different. My words and work showed students my regard for them. We all need community to accurately see our strengths and needs. The need to create, revise, and enforce policies and practices is evident. Data and physical and verbal attacks on teachers, including me, and students compelled me to come here in the first place. Disillusioned by the unaddressed brutality and academic failure, I began speaking publicly despite harassment and unfairness. Even this summer, when there was a desperate need for teachers, foolishness and pettiness prevailed, and I, a highly qualified teacher, was denied employment. Thus, PGCPS has the highest and most disproportionate number of teacher vacancies in the entire state. Corrupted ideas of power always diminishes a community. Without community, we all fail. Yet this board's witness to the PGCPS community is so compromised. During my last testimony, the board chair leaned and whispered to the new superintendent as I testified. Each time I testified last school year, she rolled her eyes, made faces, and exposed her heart. I stopped testifying virtually because some sudden connectivity problem prevented you from hearing me suggest that students read about 300 books in total from K to 12. The next day, I, a teacher with a loud voice, inexplicably could not be heard. Nevertheless, my recorded testimony about teacher retention on April 18, 2023 shows her doing everything but looking and listening. She smiles inappropriately, smirks, looks to the left, rests her hand on her cheek, looks down to the right, up to the left, and off in the distance. As other board members lean forward to hear my barely audible testimony, the board chair leans back. How can you help people you refuse to see and hear? How can you trust people who would even corrupt the process of public testimony? How do you trust people who ignore corruption? I have endured financial, physical, and mental harm, but the board chair nor administration sees how they created and perpetuated the conditions for this, nor how this negligence shapes social conditions and academic outcomes. Teachers fight for civil rights and survive retaliation while teaching and protecting students, but this board uses a multitude of attorneys to support basic functions and consultants to demonstrate basic respect while coddling and comforting administration. These are the local conditions that have driven teachers away and compromises the health of the system. The soil, the seed, the root, the branches, the leaves, the entire system that alienates and dominates and consumes needs a process that exposes and strengthens. Some people believe that impudence is advocacy, mockery is intelligence, harassment is unity, bullying is strength, and murder is power. Has PGCPS shown that real power speaks to create and enters darkness to restore? Thank you for your time and attention.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Moses Carbo. Moses Cogbo? Oh, okay. Thank you.
Thank you, first of all, to the chair and the superintendent. And we certainly appreciate all that you do to help with our children to get education. I'm here to address you today regarding my son, Gabriel Carbo, who's 7 years old. He's from the very start, has started in Montessori education. We placed him in a school which was listed on the website as a suggestion for PG County to start Montessori education. He'd been at Julia Brown since his preschool and kindergarten and first grade. So we, of course, with hopes of moving him into the next stage, that of Robert Goddard Montessori School. So we placed an application. He qualified. The school was listed when he registered as part of the certified school, which will facilitate such a transition from Julia Brown into Robert Goddard Montessori. But after we place in the application, we will meet with denial. This despite being the fact that other children in his class, because of various age group, have already been accepted into Robert Goddard in their next step education. So, but at this point, he's in the first grade and now the second grade, and very soon, of course, Julia Brown third grade ends Montessori. So we will definitely want him to be in a Montessori education. This is an education he has been used to from the very start, and that's the way of learning that he thrives in. So we put in such an appeal for him to reconsider. But ever since June, we have not received any word back. Several times I've called in to have them address this issue, but that had not been addressed. So eventually, after many calls, it was suggested that I come in to appeal here in front of you, ladies and gentlemen, to indeed address this issue, because once again, this is the way of learning he's used to, and we strongly, me and his mom, appeal to you to accept him into the Robert Goddard Montessori program. He's continuing now his education in Julia Brown, but we hope that with you addressing this issue, that very soon he can continue to thrive in the PG County Robert Goddard Montessori program, where he can, of course, continue his education. So thank you very much for your consideration of this issue, and once again, thanks for all the hard work and that teachers. Certainly it's not easy, but we certainly appreciate that, and we appreciate you helping us with our young son, Gabriel Cabo. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Tammy J. O'Donnell, Individual New Grading Policy.
Good evening. My name is Tammy O'Donnell, and I'm a 10th grade English teacher at CMIT North High School. I'm the proud mom to a senior in the district and have been in education for over 30 years. I'm here to express my concern regarding the grading policy in our public schools. In the last 5 to 10 years, we have gone from educating students to simply passing students. Retention rates, graduation rates, test scores, quarter grades all seem to be more important to the district than actual learning. We have students in high school who cannot write a coherent sentence, let alone a 5-paragraph essay, students who cannot do basic math to get through algebra but are now in geometry struggling, students who cannot read at the 10th grade level but somehow made it into my classroom. Let's look, for example, at the good faith effort rule. A student with a 64% on any given assignment receives no boost to their grade for their effort on their work. By contrast, a student who completes the work, most likely on the bus on the way to school, and gets a 10% on the assignment is automatically boosted to a 50% for good faith effort. One of my colleagues has shared that he has seen students rush to complete the assignment before the bell rings, knowing full well that no matter what they wrote, they will be given a 50%, thereby increasing their overall grade in the class per quarter. We are creating an incentive for students to do poor quality, hasty work and getting rewarded for it. Let's look at how often we are required to give makeup, redo, credit recovery work to students who are failing. The students who sleep in during class, pull out cell phones, talk, and are disruptive during the lesson are given a second opportunity to make up, redo, retake the assignment. This requires the teacher to do more work to reteach the lesson, give an additional test, and grade it again. More likely than not, the student still fails, but there is the 50% good faith effort that requires me to give them a 50%, even if they earned a 15%. And how about summer school? I would love for you to explain to me and other teachers how a student can pass a subject matter in only 10 days, 4 hours a day, when they could not do it during the entire school year with all these resources and interventions in place. But magically in summer they can pass, and some with an A. We are committing educational malpractice. Ask any college rep or admissions officer and they will tell you that students from our county are spending anywhere from $3,000 to $9,000 per semester on remedial courses that are 0 credit and do not count towards graduation. That means a student is spending additional financial aid and student loan money on courses that they need to be able to register for the introductory courses for which we said they are eligible for by graduating them, and now a student goes even further into debt and spends more time to get their degree. I am urging you on behalf of myself and my colleagues in the district to please rethink these policies. We are not serving our students, but boy, do our numbers look good.
Thank you. Ms. Jocelyn Ford, Individual Transportation.
Good evening, board members. What if we invest in us, your employees? What if your employees got their paychecks on time? What if we got all our hours that we would do that during our pay week, we got paid on time, the correct pay? This is now how many weeks in the school? I think it's about the 5th paycheck coming up on Friday. Paychecks are still wrong. Leave is still wrong. We have not been paid right since Lori Shiflett left. And they to replace her, they hired 4 people to replace the one person. So we got a problem. Because if we're not getting paid, what if we stop doing the work? How the kids gonna get to school? How the kids gonna get educated? We're creating a problem. And I've been coming to town hall meetings. I said, talk to us, not about us. I asked for a town hall meeting with the employees so we could address these issues. Because we normally have monthly meetings in transportation to get our issues across, but we haven't had any this whole year. The new administrator came in, we haven't met at all. Because we like to solve problems before they get this big at the lowest level, but we're falling on deaf ears. I always say, give me the tools to do my job. I'll do the best daggone job you ever seen if we had the tools. Just like we need to give the kids the tools, what they need to do their job. I just want my tools so I could do the best that I could possibly do. Thank you very much, and y'all have a good night.
Thank you. Mr. Robert Pettis, Kettering Largo Mitchellville Boys and Girls Club, to address community support from Largo High School.
Well, good evening, Madam Chair, Mickens Murray, Superintendent House, my board member, Mr. Jackson, and the rest of the board. I'm Bob Pettis. I sit on the board for the Kettering Largo Mitchellville Boys and Girls Club. I've been with the club for over 30 years. I'm also the assistant coach with Coach Ball Ward and the Largo High School girls basketball team going on 16 years. I'm also the past president, 2003 to 2005, and currently the treasurer for Largo High School PTSO. I'm here before you let you know that Kettering Largo Mitchellville Boys and Girls Club is a community partner. We're not locusts, here to ravage the landscape and move on. We liken our school facilities as crops to be cared for, tilled, watered, and weeded. Our schools are our lifeblood. We run our biggest programs, basketball in the gyms. We've been using Kettering Middle School for well over 50 years, Largo High School, 30 years, Ernest Just for the past 16. In the 30 years that we have been utilizing the school facilities at Largo, we've never had an issue with securing space. All the principals, from Mr. Sampson in the 90s to Mr. Lewis presently, have been great community partners. Each one participated as stakeholders in the community triangle: school, student parents, and community. Our hiccup comes with the middle schools. Every so often, we get a principal who stresses the community boundaries. I understand giving our principals autonomy, but when it hampers our program, it becomes a problem. Our club at full peak will run some 35 teams, just under 400 boys and girls. We'd like for each team to practice for an hour twice a week, once during the week and once during the weekend. Even then, 2 teams will share a gym, so having gym time is important. Our club recently received a notice that our weekday request has been denied on the premise of to ensure the best interest of 900 students. I don't know what that means. Make it make sense. Isn't her student our children? The community's children. Where do they go? We're talking about the evening. Taking the middle school out of our schedule during the week will be detrimental to our program. I guess service to the community isn't in the principal's handbook for middle schools. This is an issue to be dealt with, but not tonight. I'm really here to heap praise on the building staff of Largo High School who work tirelessly to keep the school clean. Our school is old. I watched the team put in serious work, especially when there are special programs in the evening. And if they need equipment or supplies, they'll come out of their own pockets to complete the task. Kudos to Mr. Andy Gibson, Mr. Tony Jackson, and their staff. Largo is blessed. Thank you very much.
Thank you. There is one written comment which is posted on board docs. Joseph Jakuta, Lead Volunteer Climate Change for Prince George's County, fiscal year 25 operating budget. Thank you all for your comments this evening. The chair recognizes the superintendent to report on the consent agenda items.
Madam Chair, items 5.1 through 5.5 require board approval of proclamations commemorating Maryland and the Emancipation Day, American Education, National Native American Heritage Month, and the Restorative Justice Week, all during the month of November. Prince George's County looks to ensure that we continue to recognize where necessary.
Thank you. The question is on adopting the consent agenda from items 5.1 through 5.5. Is there a motion?
I'll go ahead and make it, Chair.
5.1.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Dr. Miller.
Board Member Zipporah Miller.
Move that we accept items 5.1 through 5.5 on the consent agenda.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. It has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Okay. Seeing no lights, Ms. Ellis, would you call the roll, please?
Mrs. Adam Stafford.
Aye.
Ms. Boozer Strother.
Aye.
Mr. Briggs.
Aye.
Dr. Harris. Mr. Jackson. Mrs. LaSalle Frazier.
Aye.
Dr. J. Miller. Dr. Z. Miller.
Aye.
Mrs. Rout.
Aye.
Mrs. Mickens Murray.
Aye. We have 8 votes in the affirmative. There are 0 in the negative. The motion carries. Budget, the chair recognizes the superintendent to report on the budget consent agenda items.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This particular item, we require, of course, we're on 6 point.
I have 6.0. 6.0? Okay, it's the 6.1 to 6.4?
Yes, we require the board approval for 6.1 through 6.4.
Thank you. The question is on adopting the budget consent agenda from item 6.1 through 6.4.
Chair, I move to adopt the budget consent agenda 6.1 through 6.4.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to adopt the agenda from item 6.1 through 6.4. Is there any discussion? And I think Board Member Boozer Struthers.
Yeah, thank you so much, Chair. I just wanted to address 6.4, the approval of Cool Spring Elementary School feasibility study. I want to thank the capital projects team for hosting a information session last evening that covered the final selection, and that you'll see in the feasibility study, to have the replacement over two cycles of buildings. The plan calls for a 2-year building cycle again, which I'm very pleased about. And I was very pleased with the community engagement, asking great questions up front, and continuing our new tradition and way that we communicate on capital projects. So I just want to compliment the success of that of the CIP team. Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no other lights, Ms. Ellis, please call the roll.
Mrs. Adam Stafford.
Aye.
Ms. Boozer Strother.
Aye.
Mr. Briggs.
Aye.
Dr. Harris. Mr. Jackson. Mrs. LaSalle Frazier.
Aye.
And Dr. J. Miller. Dr. Z. Miller.
Aye.
Mrs. Rout.
Aye.
Mrs. Mickens Murray.
Aye. There are 8 votes in the affirmative. There are no votes in the negative. The motion carries, is adopted. The chair recognizes Board Member Briggs to report on the governance second reader unfinished business agenda items.
Thanks so much, Chair Mickens Murray. So the Board of Education on September 21st, 2023 voted and approved the following revised policies as first reader. Policy 3506, Public Charter Schools. Policy 5110.3, voluntary transfer requests for students, Policy 5114.1, students exiting before attainment of diploma or certificate, and Policy 6139, test security and data. On behalf of the Policy and Governance Committee, I move that the policies be recommended for advanced consideration as second reader.
Thank you. You made a motion, correct? Did you make a motion? Did you make?
It's a recommendation.
A recommendation?
Yeah.
So do you want to make a motion? To move?
I move that the policies be recommended for advanced consideration as second reader, right? Isn't that the?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to move policies 7.1 through 7.4 as a second reader. The floor is open for discussion, and I see Board Member Adam Stafford.
Yes, thank you. I just had a question about the charter school policy. I know last year there was considerable discussion around the Board of Education being able to receive applications because there was, I think, basically a screening process prior to board members seeing the actual applications. And I didn't know if that had been discussed or if that was something you all were considering removing. I'm just wondering if that came up in discussion.
I know there were a series of discussions that we had, both, I think, in the Policy and Governance Committee. I think we received recommendations from board members, and so all those were taken into consideration in the drafting and revision of the policy. So if it were provided to the Policy and Governance Committee, then it should have been included in consideration.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no other lights, Ms. Ellis, would you take the roll?
Mrs. Adam Stafford.
Aye.
Ms. Boozer Strother.
Aye.
Mr. Briggs.
Aye.
Dr. Harris.
Aye.
Dr. Harris.
Aye.
Mr. Jackson.
Aye.
Mrs. LaSalle Frazier.
Aye.
Dr. J. Miller. Dr. Z. Miller.
Aye.
Mrs. Rout.
Aye.
Mrs. Mickens Murray.
Aye. There are 10 votes in the affirmative. There are no votes in the negative. The motion carries. New business. The chair recognizes the superintendent to report on the new business first reader items.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the board. We ask for approval as first read the enhancement of the 2024 PGCPS calendar and Crossland High School Comprehensive Education Boundary Study.
Thank you. The question is on adopting the new business first reader items from 8.1 through 8.2. The motion.
Madam Chair, I move to adopt new business first readers, items 8.1 and 8.2.
7.
It has been moved and seconded to adopt the new business items from 8.1 through 8.2. The floor is open for discussion, and I see Dr. Zipporah Miller. Oh, no, not. Seeing no other lights, Ms. Ellis, please call the roll.
Mrs. Adam Stafford. Ms. Boozer Strother.
Aye.
Mr. Briggs.
Aye.
Dr. Harris.
Aye.
Mr. Jackson.
Aye.
Mrs. LaSalle Frazier.
Aye.
Dr. J. Miller. Dr. Z. Miller.
Aye.
Mrs. Rout.
Aye.
Mrs. Mickens Murray.
Aye. There are 9 votes in the affirmative. There are no votes in the negative. The new business item passes, are adopted for first reader. The chair recognizes Board Member Briggs to report on the new business first reader item agenda.
Thank you again, Chair Mickens Murray. So the Policy and Governance Committee, known as the committee, met virtually on October 17th, 2023, with the following members in attendance: Walter Fields, Chair; Jonathan Briggs, Vice Chair; Lolita E. Walker; Dr. Juanita Miller; Rain Rivera-Forbes, Judy Mickens-Murray, ex officio, the committee discussed the public comments to the following policies: new policy on boundaries, Board Policy 5125.4, and Board Policy 5168. The purpose of the policy for geographic boundaries of attendance areas and the consolidation of closure of schools is to establish an equitable process for the determination of geographic boundaries of attendance areas and the consolidation and closure of schools. The purpose of policy 5125.4, informed consent, student data gathering, is to provide guidelines for the administration of external research studies, any internal research study, instructional program or course, which requires questionnaires and surveys, and protected information surveys. And finally, the purpose of policy 5168, automated external defibrillators, is to provide guidelines for the management of administration of PGCPS AED program and the development of venue-specific emergency action plans for middle and high schools. So on behalf of the Policy and Governance Committee, I move that the policies be recommended for advanced consideration as first reader.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to adopt the new business items from 8.3 to 8.5. Is there any discussion? Seeing no lights, Ms. Ellis, please call the roll.
Ms. Boozer Strother,
Aye.
Mr. Briggs,
Aye.
Dr. Harris,
Aye.
Mr. Jackson,
Aye.
Mrs. LaSalle Frazier,
Aye.
Dr. J. Miller, Dr. Z. Miller,
Aye.
Mrs. Rout,
Aye.
Mrs. Mickens-Murray.
Aye. There are 9 votes in the affirmative, 0 votes in the negative. The motion carries. Follow-up items. There are no follow-up items from the September 21st, 2023 board meeting and the September 28, 2023 virtual special board meeting. Motion to confirm items taken in executive session.
I move we confirm the items taken in executive session.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to affirm the items that were taken in executive session. To receive a report from the superintendent, to discuss and approve student and personnel appeals, to discuss and approve legal matters, to discuss, approve personnel matters, to receive a report from internal, external audits, to discuss the payment of the board members' legal fees, board office analysis, and board retreat, to receive legal advice. Yes, Dr. Miller.
We didn't do internal audit today.
That's true, so I will.
So take off internal audit.
I will take off
external
external
audit.
audit.
It was, and whatever, there was another one you cited that we did not get to.
It was the board retreat. We didn't get to the board retreat.
Oh, well, you didn't mention that anyway.
And the board analysis.
But I think we just need to make sure that for the record.
Okay, so for the record, it's to receive a report from the superintendent, to discuss, approve student and personnel appeals, to discuss, approve legal matters, to discuss, approve personnel matters, to discuss the payment of board members' legal fees. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, Ms. Ellis, call the roll.
Ms. Boozer Strother,
Aye.
Mr. Briggs,
Aye.
Dr. Harris,
Aye.
Mr. Jackson, Mrs. LaSalle Frazier,
Aye.
Dr. J. Miller, Dr. Z. Miller,
Aye.
Mrs. Rout,
Aye.
Mrs. Mickens-Murray.
Aye. 9 votes in the affirmative. There are no votes in the negative. Motion carries. Is there any further business to come before this board tonight? There is a motion on the floor to adjourn.
Second.
And it has been seconded. All those in favor, raise your hands. I will count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. Support 10. Thank you. It's in the affirmative, 10 votes. Good night, everybody. Thank you so much. And the time is now 8:44.